I think to really understand the whole Philippine experience, you can't do it just by reading it online. You really have to come home. You really have to engage and be a part of what's going on here. What I really would want to foster more than anything is not telling people what to do, but it's taking the best of what we have together and having it come together so that we can create new stuff out of it, to really come together as Filipinos. We started in the very beginning by helping build classrooms and computer labs in the country more than 10 years ago. And the projects really evolved for us. And today we're finding ourselves playing a role in economic development, helping to build the middle class here through projects like electric vehicles and semiconductor activity here in the Philippines. We recently signed an MOU with the Asian Development Bank, and our foundation has a really keen interest to help the Philippines electrify. One of the things that we've come to discover that even the United States lacks a technical workforce to help expand the industry there with like repair, with infrastructure installation, things like that. So if we know in the United States that these things are still being worked on, what about the Philippines? What we want to do is play a role as an intermediary in helping those laws that are written reach the people in ways where they could actually be adopted and worked on. So the projects that, when we walked into this initiative is very much about like, oh wow, let's figure out how we could help upskill technicians. Because if you draw a 1 mile radius of where I'm standing here in BGC, there's probably thousands of mechanics that know how to fix cars, gas-powered cars, but with a little continuing education, they'll know how to fix EVs too. And once that happens, the EVs that come into our market will be better utilized and better worked on. But to me, it's really, as we spend time on it, it's become a lot more than that. It's not so much just about the education of the individual, like the technician. We really see a lot of value in helping upskill, quote unquote, upskill the LGUs, the local governments too. Because what we imagine are the stakeholders in these cities saying to themselves, we really want to electrify our city, but how? Well, our center of excellence, and effectively that's what we're making, is we're putting together the Philippines' first center of excellence for EV technology. I've seen it really change, especially when it comes to the diaspora coming home to the Philippines. In the past maybe 5 or 6 years, I've seen a dramatic increase in the activity of Filipino Americans wanting to come back here to engage. And a lot of it in the very beginning, I think, is partially rooted in identity. But that identity, as they start to really get home and find like where their roots are, that identity is even magnified by their experience back home in the States. We actually have 2 homes. So we have a home in America and we have a home here in the Philippines. And the home in the States has provided us a really unique exposure. And that exposure, whether professional or personal experience, we find plays a unique role here in the Philippines in terms of development. And more than anything, a lot of the Filipino Americans I happen to come across today have been schooled, say, in the United States, but they really have this interest to want to come back here to take whatever they do, say, in Silicon Valley, here to the Philippines to help grow the country. What surprises me is how young these young Filipino VCs are. They're as young as 29 years old. And it really surprises me because at one point, I don't know if Philippines was necessarily on their radar, but now it is. And when they look at investments here, they're looking at agriculture. Even just last night, I was talking to a young VC, 29 years old from Los Angeles, and he was telling me that his main priority right now is agriculture. And it's something I did not expect come from someone who grew up in LA. So they see something over here. And as they take a look at it, they're also looking at how farmers are marginalized and they really need help. So there's a bone in their body that wants to take the helping the farmer really make it, while at the same time help the Philippines eat. And they're hoping to play a role in maybe something to do with distribution and supply chain. I think to really understand the whole Philippine experience, you can't do it just by reading it online. You really have to come home. You really have to engage and be a part of what's going on here. What I really would want to foster more than anything is not telling people what to do, but it's taking the best of what we have together and having it come together so that we can create new stuff out of it, to really come together as Filipinos. I was born in the US. And for a lot of Filipinos that left, and when I look back on what happened to us, I noticed that some Filipinos ended up in places where their interests could really flourish. Like, for example, the creative economy here in the Philippines. The creative economy is something for us that we grew up with in the States. Like so many Filipinos that I grew up with are awfully creative, and they ended up in the business over there. And it, in a way, it doesn't surprise me a lot because we have an industry that actually can catch us there. So a lot of times I find that Filipinos who left sometimes are unleashed a certain way because here in the country where we, where our families are from, some of these industries don't quite exist yet. Although I think they're getting there. Like if, for example, in entertainment, some of the world's best music is coming from the Philippines, in my opinion. I get really super excited seeing SB19 really starting to cross over. Like I get thrilled seeing like people who are not even Filipino are reacting to their videos. So at some point, the industries that we took off in the United States, where there was, places where we could work full time, those professionals are now coming back home to the Philippines, looking at opportunities here to really expand the market. It always came in the form of, why are you guys coming back? Why do you care? Because it's our home. It's where we're from. If we don't help care, then who? So we have to try. Like when we left, our parents left in pursuit of a better life for us. It worked. Now, what about everyone else that didn't have a chance to leave? What happens to them? Like if what I really should be saying is, yeah, sure, we're electrifying the country, but what we're trying to do, if you really take a really big step back, what we're really trying to do is keep families together. Like even to now, Apple has OFWs working in his family. So what we think about is, well, boy, if we play a role in helping bring high value enterprise to the Philippines and we create jobs here locally, maybe people don't have to leave anymore. Maybe families don't have to break up.